Assalamualaikum and a very good day to Dr. Musyrifah. As for today, me and my group mates from Group A will be presenting our final project for cleaning registration service database system. I'm Ezurin Farisha, Binti Jusshairi, metric number 284253, will be covering in EER diagram and my SQL database for part cleaner group, cleaner analysis schedule. So let us start with EER diagram. First of all attributes are assumed as in the diagram. In superclass customer, the primary key will be customer ID. It has two subclasses which are member and number member, and the primary key is member ID in table member, and non-member have non-member name as primary key. Subclasses are only member and non-member, hence the participation is optional. Second is customer cannot be member and non-member at the same time because the relationship here is optional. In table payment class, the primary key will be the payment ID. One customer can pay one or more payment. Many payment can be paid by one customer. In table home, the primary key will be the house number. One customer has one or many houses. One house owned by one owner only. And number 5 is we can see that rating class will have rating ID as its primary key. One house can review one or many rating, and many rating can be accepted by one house. One customer can request one or many services. Many services can be requested by one customer. In service class, service ID is the primary key. One service has one service detail. One service detail has one service. One group has many cleaner group. Group ID is the primary key for the cleaner group, and many cleaner group owns by one group. One group does many services. Many services can be done by one group. One cleaner group owns one or many cleaners. One or many cleaners belong to one cleaner group. One cleaner updates one or many scheduled activity. One or many scheduled activity updated by one cleaner.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So my name is Ahmad Asyraaf bin Norazlan and my metric number is 284368. So in this part, I will cover in the relational model for our project, and for the MySQL, I will cover for the payment, house, and also rating classes. So we'll be moving on to the relational model. So first we have the customer class. So we have in customer class we have the customer ID, customer name, customer phone number, customer IC, customer email, and also gender. So for the primary key of this class is customer ID. And then next we have the member class, and in this member class we have member ID and the password. So the primary key is the member ID, and also for the non-member we have the non-member name and also the telephone number. So the primary key is non-member name. So as you can see in the EER diagram, we have the relational of optional OR for this both class member and non-member. So that's why we will come out three of these classes into the relational model. So next we have the house class. In this class we have the house number, house type, address, cost per day, number of room, and customer ID. So for the primary key of this class is house number, and the foreign key is the customer ID that will reference back to the customer class. So next we have the rating class. In this rating class we have rating ID, customer comment, customer rate, customer ID, and house number. So for the primary key is the rating ID, and for the foreign key will be use the customer ID and it will reference back to the customer class, and foreign key for the house number and it will reference back to the house class. Next we have the payment class. So we have the payment ID, payment method, payment amount, payment date, payment time, and also the customer ID. So in this class we have the primary key as the payment ID and also customer ID as the foreign key, and so it will reference back to the customer class. So next we have the group. So for the group we have the group ID, group telephone, group email, group address, group manager, and group rating. So for this group ID will be as the primary key. And then we have also the cleaner group class. So in this class we have the cleaner ID and group ID. So for the primary key is cleaner ID, and the foreign key also the group ID, but it will reference back to the group class. So for the cleaner class, we have the cleaner ID, cleaner name, cleaner phone, cleaner salary, cleaner address, and group ID. So the cleaner ID will be the primary key, and the foreign key will be the group ID that will reference back to the group class. Next, we have the schedule activity. So in this class, we have the cleaner ID, start time, end time, duration, date, and cleaner ID. So the primary key is the cleaner ID, and the foreign key also the cleaner ID, but we reference back to the cleaner class. So next we have the service class. So in the service class we have the service ID, service name, customer ID, and the group ID. So primary key is the service ID. So for the foreign key we have the customer ID, but we reference back to the customer class, and also the group ID for the foreign key, but it will reference back to the group class. So for the last one, we have the service detail class. In this class we have the service ID, service price, service date, service time, and service ID. So for the primary key, we'll have the service ID. For the foreign key also we have the service ID, but it will reference back to the service class, not the service detail class.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day I wish to our lecturer, which is Dr. Musyrifah. So first thing first, my name is Mazuqi Adha bin Madlan, and my matric number is 285215. So I will be covering two things, which is the first one is about normalization, and the second one is my SQL, which is for table group, service, and service detail. So let's go to the first thing, which is normalization. Okay, so for the normalization we have three steps, which is first normal form, second normal form, and third normal form. So the first one here is unnormalized form, so which is I just jot down all the attribute that might be related with our project. So we move to the first normal form. Okay, so for the first normal form, it states that all the attribute in the table must be atomic, which means that each attribute should contain a single value and not multiple value. So in this case, the table cleaning service is divided into several tables such customer and the group to make each attribute atomic. So here customer and group. Okay, so for the second normal form, it states that all non-key attribute of a table must depend on the primary key of the table. In this case, the table cleaning service is divided into several tables such customer, group, cleaner, schedule, service, service detail, and payment, to ensure that all non-key attributes depend on the primary key of the table. So we move on to the third normal form. It states that all non-key attributes of a table must not depend on any non-key attribute of the table. In this case, the table cleaning service is divided into several tables such customer, group, cleaner, schedule, service, service detail, payment, member and non-member, house, rating, and cleaner group, to ensure that all non-key attributes depend only on the primary key of the table. So the primary key is denoted by PK here, as you can see here, PK, and the foreign key is denoted by FK, which is foreign key. So here I just list all the foreign key here. So the process of normalization is done to minimize data redundancy and improve data integrity. It ensures that the data is stored in a consistent and organized manner, making it easier to update, query and maintain all the data. So I think it's all for normalization. So thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Luqman bin Ahmad Zamri and my metric number is 284495. And in this video I would like to explain about the two sections, which is the first one is about the project report, which is related about relationship table, and for my SQL I will explain about customer, members and non-member table. As you can see here, for this table are relating for the cleaning service database, and this relationship appear to be a foreign key relationship, indicating that the tables are related to one another. For example, that we can see the cleaning service table has several foreign keys, which is for example customer ID, member ID, house number, rating ID, payment ID, service ID and the other. So this one will indicating that it is related to the customer, group, cleaner, schedule, service detail, payment, member, non-member, house and rating tables. There are 13 tables total. For the primary key is also used to identify the unique rows in the table. So it will appear that the cleaner group table has a composite primary key in which is cleaner ID and group ID, and it is related to the cleaner and group table. So the relationship between the tables can be used to enforce the data integrity and consistency in the database. As we can see for the example, the foreign key relationship can be used to ensure that the data enter into the cleaning service database in the table corresponding to valid data in the related tables. So we can see here the cleaner table has a primary key, which is a cleaner ID, and also used as a foreign key in the schedule table. So the linking cleaner information to the schedule of the cleaning. So the next one is the service table has a primary key, service ID, which is also used as a foreign key in the service detail table. The next one is the payment table has a primary key, payment ID, which is also being used as a foreign key in the cleaning service table. The next one is a member table has a primary key, member ID, which is also being used as a foreign key in the cleaning service table. And the non-member table has a primary key, which is customer ID, and also being used as a foreign key in the cleaning service table. And the house table has a primary key, which is house number, also being used a foreign key in the cleaning service table. And the last one is a rating table has a primary key, which is rating ID, also being used as a foreign key in the cleaning service table. That's all. Okay, I will be explaining for the other three table, which is customer table, member table and non-member table. In a customer table, there are a few columns related to the customer, which is customer ID, customer name, customer phone number, customer IC, customer email and gender. In the customer table, the primary key is customer ID, and there are 10 customer in the customer table. As we can see, they are starting from A01 for customer ID until A10. For the next table, which is member table, there are only 3 customer who are becoming a member, and the customer ID are being hold, which is customer ID are the primary key for the customer and will be a foreign key in this member table. And in this member table, there are 3 columns, which is customer ID, member ID and password, and member ID will be a primary key for the member table. Next table is a non-member. There are remaining customers who are not becoming a member, which is if we see a previous member table, there are 3 customer, and the next table, the remaining customer are 7. So the non-member table will hold the customer ID detail, which is a foreign key, which is a primary key from the customer table, and there are 3 column in this non-member table, which is the first one is customer ID, non-member name for the customer and the telephone number.
Okay, so we'll be moving on to the MySQL workbench here. So first we'll be looking out for the payment class. So here in the payment class, we'll also have the payment ID, customer ID, payment method, payment amount, payment date, and payment time. So as you can see in the information here, it already stated out that payment ID is the primary key here, and also the customer ID is bold out here. So it means that it's the foreign key that will hold the customer ID from the customer class, and then we have the payment method, payment amount, payment date, and payment time, so on. So next we'll be moving on to the house class. So it will show out here. So we have the house number, house type, the address of the customer, cost per day for the customer, number of room of the house that have, and then also the customer ID here. So here in the information it stated out the house number is the primary key for this class, and then for the customer ID it will be the foreign key from the customer class. And then for the last one, we'll be going to the rating class. So here in the rating class we have the rating ID, house number, customer ID, customer comment, and the customer rate. So for this class we use the primary key for this class is rating ID, and then for the house number also is the foreign key from the house class, and then customer ID foreign key from the customer class, and also for the customer rate it will be the foreign key also.
Hello, in SQL part I will be explaining about 3 tables, which is group, service, and service detail. Okay, we move on to the first one. First one is service. So in the table of service we have service ID as a primary key in this table, and we also have customer ID, which is a foreign key from the customer table, and we also have group ID, which is a foreign key from the group table, and we also have additional things, which is service name. Okay, so next we move to the service detail. In service detail we only have service ID as a primary key, and we also have service ID as a foreign key. So they are sharing the same primary and foreign key. So we also have here service price, service date, and service time. Okay, for the group, so for the group table we have, for the group table we have here, we have group ID as a primary key, and we also have group telephone number, we also have group email, group address, group manager, and group rating. But we doesn't have any foreign key because it is not inherit anything from the any table. I think that is all from me for this part, so thank you.
SQL database, I will talk about cleaner group. In this cleaner group data, we have 10 tuple of data. Cleaner ID column is the primary key for the table cleaner group, and group ID will be the foreign key that inherits from group table. Next is the cleaner table. Cleaner name will become its primary key. Let's talk about cleaner table. Cleaner name will become its primary key. The cleaner ID will inherit data as it is a foreign key from cleaner group. In this table, we will have column of cleaner ID, cleaner name, cleaner phone, cleaner salary, and cleaner address. There will be also 10 tuple of rows of data. Cleaner ID will inherit data as it is a foreign key from cleaner group. In this table, we will have column of cleaner ID, cleaner name. In schedule table, there will be data of cleaner ID, start time, end time, duration, and date in the column. Date will become its primary key.